Our next guests are Vincent Variale, President of Local 3621, and Oren Barzilay, President of Local 2507, unions representing more than 4,700 emergency medical service professionals. And they're here to talk about a lawsuit they just filed against the city and the FDNY to support EMS workers. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
So, can you both tell us about your union memberships and which titles you cover, starting with Vincent?
Yes, good morning. Yes, I cover 500 EMS lieutenants and captains of the New York City Fire Department.
How about you, Oren?
We supervise EMTs and paramedics throughout the city of all the 5 boroughs.
Great. And how about you, Oren?
Hi, good morning. I represent 4,200 uniformed emergency medical technicians, paramedics, and fire inspectors throughout the 5 boroughs.
Great. And my understanding is that it's a pretty diverse workforce, the EMS workers, compared with the FDNYs and other uniformed services. Vincent, can you tell us about that diversity?
Yes, we're very diverse. We have just about 30% females, over 50% minority. EMS has been a very diverse workforce for many years. I've been on EMS for 23 years, going back when it was part of Health and Hospitals Corporation and into the fire department. I've been a volunteer EMS for Park Slope Volunteer Ambulance Corps, and the field in general, it's been a very diverse field.
Great. And, your unions recently filed a lawsuit against the city and FDNY. Oren, can you tell us what the suit is about and why you chose to go to court?
This has been an ongoing issue with the city. For years, we've been trying to elevate the uniform services for EMS. We're not being recognized equally as other uniform services, such as the firefighters, police officers, sanitation workers. We believe that, and we know that there is a discrepancy here when our EMTs, paramedics, and fire inspectors stand side by side with this workforce, and we do the same job day in and day out, and yet the city fails to recognize us
as
a uniform force.
Yeah, and I should say, by the way, that last year I had an incident where I had to have EMS come to my 6th floor walk-up. And they brought me down. They came timely. They were very professional, and they actually carried me down those flight of stairs. And I think, join all New Yorkers in expressing how we appreciate EMS workers and the hard work you all do. So, it sounds like from the article I've read that there's some concern about the bias and discrimination in terms of salary parity with the FDNY. What do you hope to achieve if you're able to get the information? Sort of what's the case you're looking to build? And Vincent, why don't you take that one?
Sure. Well, that's the thing. All we've been asking for quite some time is what the mayor said basically in his speech is nothing special, just fairness and equality. As Oren said, we are a uniformed emergency service, just like police, fire, and we want to be treated as such. The city continuously for many years has chosen to treat us as a civilian workforce, and we're clearly not. Every emergency that occurs throughout the city, whether it be terrorism, shootings, fires, train derailments, car accidents, you name it, heart attacks, we're there. EMS is always responding to everything. And we're clearly a uniformed emergency service, and we want to be treated, as the mayor always says, equally and fairly. We don't understand why the city refuses to recognize us as such, other than the fact that these other uniformed emergency services like police, fire, and sanitation What stands out is that these other services are male-dominated fields, usually white male-dominated fields, and EMS happens to be a field that is female, 30% female, and over 50% minority. That's the only thing that seems to see the difference. And it has hurt us, both in pay. We earn $20,000 to $40,000 a year less in benefits, in support. We don't receive the same staffing levels that these other agencies receive, which hurts the public. It endangers the public's life. In the end, we don't get the same support. Career opportunities, things that are not even a matter of money or cost. EMS does not have the same civil service exams.
Vincent, I'm sorry to cut you off. It sounds like maybe there's a little bit of a connection issue. The last maybe 30 seconds, you're kind of breaking up a little bit. Just wanted to see if can you start?
Let me try that again. I was saying even just about money, but even things like that are not a cost issue, like civil service exams.
Yeah, Vincent, I'm sorry. I apologize. I think that we're still having some connection issues. Oren, can you say a little something to see if your connection's similarly?
Yeah. So EMS in general, we respond to every incident that happens in the city. We stand, like I said earlier, we respond with police officers to every job. We respond to the firefighters to their jobs. Yet we are compensated $20,000 to $40,000 less than these other agencies. And this is not to take anything away from the police department, the fire department. We just want to be recognized and
yeah, and actually,
the same.
I'm sorry, go on.
That is what we're trying to achieve here, is to be recognized by the city. I mean, the state has recently passed 2 laws acknowledging us as a uniform force. If the state is recognizing us as a uniform service, why can't the city recognize us as a uniform service?
Yes, and that was something. The salary difference was something that really caught my eye when I was reading the materials in the press release. Something like, it seemed like the starting salary was somewhat on parity, but then the increase after 4 or 5 years or something like that was a big difference. I can't remember. I think for NYPD, it's something like after 5 years, you're 99,000 or so, and what's that level for the EMS workers? And Oren, I think Vince, I'm not sure if I can still hear you, but so Oren, maybe you can take that question.
Sure. So the top salary for EMT is $48,000, $49,000 after 5 years.
Wow.
At the same time, the top salary for a fireman or firefighter is $110,000.
Wow.
So over $50,000 difference.
Yeah, that's half the salary.
Yes.
That's
paramedics. They top out at $64,000, and there's still a big gap between a paramedic and a fireman, and the same thing goes for fire inspectors. They make in the mid 60s, and these are people that inspect buildings before the firemen go in. So there's a big gap. There's a $40,000 to $50,000 gap between the two services.
Wow.
And the same thing with police and sanitation.
Well, I want to thank you both, Vincent and Oren, for joining us and your locals and the good work, as I mentioned, that you all do and that New Yorkers appreciate in times of emergency and coming to the rescue of New Yorkers. So good luck with your lawsuit to really just ask for information to figure out what's going on, and we appreciate you both joining the show today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.